Hey everyone, welcome to week 14. We are continuing our look at feeding requirements and practices for children. So we're going to move on to toddlers and preschoolers and school-age children this week. So that will be the content of the resources that you have in the module, and then we will also have a discussion on feeding challenges in this age group. So that is the content for Module 14. Please let me know if you have any questions about that. I also wanted to touch on the menu projects. I did release all the grades for your one-day menus last night. There is detailed feedback on all of them. Even if you got a perfect score, there still usually is some room for improvement there. And there are some things that were not included in the rubric for this one-day menu that will be included for the final menu. So make sure that you review my feedback. A few specific areas that I wanted to specifically highlight because I saw some challenges over and over with some things. So milk is one of those things that is required for breakfast and lunch. You cannot substitute yogurt or cheese or something like that. Those are in the protein foods category, not a milk substitute. So you need to make sure that you're always offering that. And keep in mind also that this menu is for an entire class. So there may be students in a class or children that would have an alternative to cow's milk, but the regular menu needs to indicate that cow's milk is the main thing that's served. And so that's one of the pieces. Protein is the other one that I saw a lot of extras on. So I know in the guidelines they give you a lot of different choices for protein foods. You can use meat, you can use substitutes like tofu, you can use cheese or beans or yogurt or nut butters. There's all sorts of different things that you can use for protein. The guidelines, though, only require that you use one. And so you don't need to offer several different kinds of protein. It's okay if you want to, for example, do a combination food, like if you want to do a taco or a quesadilla that has meat and cheese or meat and beans, that's totally fine. And in fact, I think it makes things interesting. Keep in mind, though, that the total protein portion can be combined for two. So like instead of offering 1.5 ounces of meat and 1.5 ounces of cheese, cut them both in half so that you offer 1.5 ounces of both. That's another piece that I did want to mention too for the final. All of the guidelines are minimums, so it is technically okay to serve beyond what the minimum says. However, it's important to keep in mind, for one, it's important to show that you know what the guidelines are. And the other aspect of this is that while extras are fine to have occasionally, you can add condiments that way, you can create some interesting meals that way. But if you're consistently adding extras to every meal and increasing the portions beyond what is recommended, that can really add to the cost of a menu. And so we want to be mindful of that and realize the budgets that constrain most of these menus. And that's something that you'll have to pay a little more attention to on your final menu. Also, making sure that you're keeping costs in check. Same with like all offering fresh produce. Totally fine to offer fresh produce, probably not realistic to offer every meal every day. So these are just some things to think about for the final menu, and I'll give a few more tips on this next week. But other than that, I think it was great to read them all. I appreciate seeing your creativity, lots of really interesting meals there, and I look forward to seeing your final menu projects as well. Any questions on that, feel free to send me an email or stop in my office hours. I hope you all have an excellent week.